I just feel in so many ways I let Joe down. We all do it, I think, when you lose a child. I didn't give him the most even auspicious start in life, you know, but except a love of books. And my best memories were sitting cuddled up with Joe and his brother reading books. You wouldn't see him walking down the street. You'd actually think there was a happy-go-lucky chap with his guitar slung on his shoulder saying hello to everybody and waving at everybody and stopping and lighting up his fags and sat there in the garden strumming his guitar and reading his books. You know, people, you can't just snap your fingers and say, right, I'm going to pull myself together. I'm going to get clean because, you know, I'm bright and clever and I'd like to go on and do something with my life. I think he did think those things, but I think he was slightly living in cloud cuckoo land. You become a bit crafty, I think, when you're a drug addict. He didn't throw it in our faces. He tried. He was ashamed in a way. It was just so, there's so many facets to drug addiction, you know. He fooled himself that he was getting better and it was, you know, 4 steps forward and 6 back, but he had to do it in his own time. I think all my guilt stems back to when he was, you know, when he was a teenager and the drugs, and he started taking the drugs. I think I don't think I realised the extent of the problems that were brewing. I didn't know. So I look back and feel guilty about that because obviously over the years it progressively got worse. But when you actually lose that child and you haven't got the opportunity to speak to them anymore about that, you know, the guilt is magnified really, and you home in on all the little things that you didn't do and should have done, and the regrets and why didn't you save your child. You know, that's your job as a mother to protect your child. He actually had quite a good input from the services. You know, his GP was there for him, was very concerned about him. He had a lovely drug counsellor lady up at the surgery, and he went to addiction every week. But in that last year, he had a really bad collapse, an overdose, accidental, and we ended up having to call the ambulance and he spent the night in the hospital. I think that might be at one time possibly when the services did let him down, because when they discharged him the next morning I said, well, is that it? You can see what's happened. I said, can you refer him to mental health people? And she said, there's nothing really we can do. We'll let his GP know what's happened. So he came out of hospital and really nothing changed. The things actually did get worse and worse that year, in that last year. He sort of lost hope, I think. Joe wanted to be out all the while. He loved to go up to his favourite little spots, ancient spots usually, that had a history about them, and sleep out under the stars. He was on Dartmoor, gone there. He definitely wanted to go there. We think that he almost wanted to purge himself. He was in a really bad way and he wanted to be alone. He set up his camp there, and it was where 2 rivers converged, and it was like ruins. There were ruins there. It was quite a special place. And I saw the very exact spot where he'd fallen into the water, and the big stone where he'd been sort of half in and half out of the water. I comfort myself that it was quick, he didn't suffer, he wasn't in pain, he wasn't too frightened. He died peacefully looking up at the universe, as he'd have wanted to do. On his death certificate it said, they put it down as hypothermia, but it was actually because he ingested so many drugs, there was a real cocktail. And they think he stumbled and banged his head because he had an injury on his head because he was, you know, so intoxicated. Every single Dog Eared Ripped book I kept, and there were loads and loads of them. There's about 500 in here, I think. It's a little room of light and joy in Joe.